Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
It's
controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, state house oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani gwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye alesa amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateesemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF bamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simayanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamwanyiga mawu.
Ebe na birindira no ku the Political Dice ku the Alternative Dig Talk nange teditenje ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
sawa 2.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. It's the Interface show happening every Friday. Starting from 12 to 2 p.m., we are always having a conversation with Dr. Kizza Besigye, trying to talk about some of the issues that are happening in this country, Uganda, a country that is every other day manifests different challenges, different issues. We live in what we call a craze. Every morning, every day, there's something new that is happening. Sometimes for the bad, sometimes for the worse. But of course, sometimes we also celebrate the good. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. A lot of things have been happening right here. But before I delve into that conversation, we are Digitalk TV, and we are streaming live on our social media platforms. That is at Digitalk TV on Facebook, at The Alternative Uganda, still on Facebook, then also at the page of Dr. Kizza Besigye on Facebook. We're also on YouTube, still the same platforms, at the same names, at Digitalk TV, at The Alternative Uganda. So you can alternatively switch on either sites to be able to have a conducive and better coverage of our program today. A lot of things are happening in the country this week. We saw appointment of new RDCs, and not only RDCs, we have an appointment of a new celebrity in town. He is the Senior Presidential Advisor on Creatives. That is Edirisa Musuza, also known as Eddie Kenzo, one of the best artists that Uganda has produced. His appointment has fueled a lot of debate around what qualifies really for someone to be a senior presidential candidate. And of course, it has also brought out a conversation of why is Museveni really interested in the creatives as we speak today. He has had a lot of presidential advisors who are in the creative sector, like music. We have Butcherman, we've had people like Full Figure. Eddie Kenzo now is the new kid on the block. We saw him meeting Jose Chameleon, Bebe Cool, and Alien Skin. What is Mr. Museveni's hidden interest in these particular people? Then this week also, we had the delegates conference for FDC Katonga faction. Remember, a year ago we had division between this political party. Some people believing that it was marred by some interest of Mr. Museveni after he brought in some money that Dr. Besigye highlighted on. A year down the road, the division is continuing to widen as we speak, and there are some new proposals by the FDC Katonga faction that they start a new political party. Is this really a viable decision? Is this in the best interest of Uganda, of the opposition, but also it's an interest of the individuals themselves? Where does this go? And of course, how do they become legally binding at the end of the day? All these decisions that were made. We also had some, reiterations from the FDC Najana Nkumbi side, also saying that they are not believing in what these people are saying. So where is the thin line really between this political party, and is this the best decision that these political giants can come up with? So we'll be talking about that, and maybe when we get some time, there is an alleged voice of Rwabogo, the first son, and talking about not the first son, the son-in-law to the president, talking about the first son, Mr. Muhoozi Kainerugaba. This alleged voice talks about a lot of things. Are we seeing a continuing rift between the first family? And of course, as we talk about the succession plan, Mr. Museveni has been in power for 38 years and counting. What does this mean to him as a person, but also to Uganda? How does the opposition harness this particular issue, if hypothetically it's actually there, if we are seeing a controversy between these two people? How does this affect Uganda as we speak? And maybe lastly, the problem of garbage and rubbish continues to happen in this country. There is no dumping ground as we speak for rubbish. Remember what happened in Kitezi? I think government came out and told us that they are going to be now dumping in Katikolo, that is in Mukono district. And when the rubbish cars went to drop rubbish there, they were not allowed access to this particular area. And of course, it's also near Lake Victoria. And of course, where is really the thin line at the end of the day? Is this a better option? And if it does not work, how are we going to be solving the garbage crisis? And this comes at a time when you've been seeing videos of huge chunks of rubbish being thrown in the middle of the roads. And we're having a garbage problem as we speak in the country. So how do we go about that? And in case you have any question, feel free to just send in some of your comments through our social media platforms. We are Digitalk TV, as I've told you, on Facebook, Twitter, or X, TikTok, Instagram. Look for us at The Alternative Uganda too. You'll be able to find all our clips. Remember, we not only do the Interface show, we have various shows that we do. There is the Mighty Drive show happening every Monday to Friday. It's a morning show. The Voltage show. There are a couple of shows, the Snap Talk show. You can be able to go through our social media platforms and you'll be able to see our programming and you'll be able to have a conversation. But we talk about these things not just to ridicule or scorn at government, no. We are trying to create a better Uganda by offering solutions that we think are going to help create a future that is better for ourselves, but also for the generations that are yet to come. My name is Edgar Matthew Karanga. Allow me welcome retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Edgar, and a very good afternoon to all the Digitalk audience, wherever you are tuning in into this Interface show today. You are most welcome to the show, and I hope you've had a rewarding week and a peaceful week. And those who have had challenges, I offer my full sympathies, challenges of all kinds. And we live in a country full of challenges. I encourage you to stand up and continue moving regardless of whatever is challenging you. Yeah, so yeah, we are glad to be having another conversation this afternoon. I'd like to, maybe before we delve into whatever is to be discussed, to thank warmly, to thank heartily all the FDC leaders who made huge sacrifices to converge from the diverse positions within our country at Katonga on Monday was a historic day. I think I had not seen quite a number of our colleagues in a while. I was delighted to know that very many of the people that have been moving strongly to cause change in this country are still very active and prepared to make more sacrifices for change in our country. Thank you very, very much for the show of unity of purpose, the purpose of causing change, democratic change in our country. And, I can assure you that we will never turn back. We will never surrender. We shall keep moving until we get the Uganda we want and we deserve. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Doctor. Starting on that particular issue of the delegates conference that you had 3 resolutions, or we can just sum all the resolutions into 3. I'm going to read them for our viewer who's watching us for the very first time. One was that the tenure of the interim leadership of the Forum for Democratic Change that has steered the party through the political turbulence of the last 1 year be extended for 9 months, effective on the 19th of August 2024 to manage the emerging transition. The interim party president fills all vacant positions of the National Executive Committee, NEC, and the other party organs with the approval of the National Council. The second resolution is that the process of dissolving the Forum for Democratic Change as a political party be commenced under the provisions of Article 36 of the FDC party constitution. The general public is hereby given notice of the intended dissolution. Then lastly, definitely not least, is that a new political party be formed, that the registration of a new political party do commence in accordance with the laws of Uganda. Dr. Besigye, why in all resolutions or solutions did you come up with these 3?
Yeah, well, you see, there is a lot of noise and, debates around what happened in the delegates conference. But I want, and unfortunately, in debating very, very critical issues that surround what is happening in the Forum for Democratic Change, I regrettably continue to see people focusing on individuals rather than the issues. Part of that, of course, is deliberate, and especially from the usual suspects who are the problem of the country, the junta and their agents to divert, because that is their usual tactic, deflect the debate from where it should be to non-issues, to the individuals. The problem is Besigye, the problem is so and so. These, rather than the issues. So the central issue in our country and in the party is reclaiming Uganda as our country in which we have full power and authority to decide what happens in this country. That is the central problem that Uganda is seized with, not just FDC. Uganda is seized with that problem. The fact that since independence, Uganda have never removed any leader. Ugandans have never on their own brought somebody into leadership. That it is guns that remove leaders, that install leaders. And therefore, people have very peripheral role they play in the country. That is the central problem that every single Ugandan ought to be focused. Because all these young people who have no jobs, who are desperate, who have no future, All these people you find around the country who can't find services, basic services, health care, you know, who are dying needlessly, who are in desperate situation all over the health centers you can visit in this country, you know, unless you pay heavily, and even when you pay, you can't access quality health care. You know, those basic things, education, the fact that young people can't find quality education, that indeed leads to having knowledge that can produce for the country. These are fundamental problems that all start with the politics.
Yes.
The politics of Ugandans not being in charge of the country, not being able to plan for themselves, for all these services that they need. And we have a country that serves a few who capture power. That's the whole problem. A country serving a few people that capture power. So what is happening in FDC is, first of all, that FDC set out as its mission to end that, to end state capture, and to have change to a democratic situation, dispensation. From state capture to democratic dispensation. That's the democratic change we set out ourselves to fight for. So, along the way, and this is not a simple fight. I have made this very clear. It has never happened. The change we want to see happen in Uganda has never happened ever in our country. Yes. In other words, we set out to do what has never been done.
Yes, sir.
The closest we were to doing it was independence. The fact that people fought with those who had captured our nations and created Uganda. It was not us who created Uganda. The resistance struggle to end colonial rule is what nearly caused the change that we are fighting for. But it was quickly reversed soon after independence. That process of transferring power to Ugandans aborted. It was quickly reversed. The military came back, overthrew the constitution, and we have lived under that capture up to today. So what we are trying to do, and this is not a duty just for Forum for Democratic Change, but what Ugandans must fight for is regaining power in their country, which has never happened since colonial days. And so when we set out and focused on that, the junta, which has power, also fought back. And what we are now seeing are the results of that fight back. How does those who capture power fight back against those who want to take back their power? First, they use terror, which they control exclusively. They control all institutions of terror, and they deploy it. Kill, maim, arrest, torture, do everything to make sure you cow everybody and remain in charge. You know?
Yes, sir.
And that's what we have faced since the creation of Forum for Democratic Change. We have lost many people who have been shot. The other day at the delegates conference, there was a man who is now, he was a young man then, who was shot at Ulange. It's called Haruna Byamukama. He's from Kenjojo in Toro. He was one of the people shot, and his spinal cord was torn by the bullet. So he has lived in a wheelchair since 2006, since that incident at Ulange. He came in his wheelchair to Katonga. You know, so many, on that particular incident, 3 people were gunned down in front of me at Ulange here. Haruna was the lucky one who got off with a bullet. His colleague, the 3 other people died. They never lived to tell the story. So that is what we have been confronting for 20 years. Terror.
Yes, sir.
Terror, kill, what? That's how even my own brother is in his grave. Yes. And many other people.
True.
So that has been one of the responses of the regime.
Yes.
The second response has been for the regime which uses that control of the state to control our wealth, to control our money. It uses that money to compromise leaders who are fighting against it, buy them out, or buy them to cause confusion amongst the fighters. So they either buy them and take them for their propaganda. You know, these have now seen the light. They dress them in yellow and put them on platforms and so on to weaken the resolve of the fighters.
Yes.
Or they buy them and keep them within the fighters to cause confusion within the fighters. So this has had a debilitating effect in the population, institutions of the population that have been challenging the regime. That's why all political parties that were of the opposition are now torn apart. That's why you have, you know, what was supposed to be a multi-party system no longer there. In fact, it never even saw the day of light. That's why you have in parliament, you are supposed to have opposition and the government side. We have now a parliament where parties sit on both sides. They are both opposition and the government, you know? I was seeing the Honorable Mao, minister in Museveni government, last night talking about this situation. He is a head of a party, supposed head of a party of opposition. He is in the government. His members of parliament are opposing his government. And that comes about simply because what it means is that the leaders of the party have been persuaded to join the government while their parties have refused. So leaders are co-opted into government. And we've seen that with the UPC, with the DP, with other parties too, in various ways. You know, some are not appointed into government here, some are made ambassadors, are made what? This man whom I understand was evicted from Dubai as ambassador, yes.
Ambassador
He was a UPC activist here. we were with him in the trenches.
Yes. But Doctor,
All of a sudden
this
he became,
this is not surprising. Mr. Museveni promised you that by 2026 there will be no opposition.
So I will talk to that too. So, but I want you to understand what is happening in the Forum for Democratic Change.
Yes.
As a context of what happened on Monday.
Yes.
So our leaders have been compromised. And that is what happened in FDC in 2021. And, there would be no problem if these leaders sought to persuade their parties democratically to join their thinking. There would be no problem.
Yes.
If Norbert Mao called the National Delegates Conference of DP and said, we think it is better now to work with the government. So give us mandate to go and negotiate with the government to get into coalition with them. That would be okay. The party would discuss it, agree, say, okay, you go and negotiate. He would go and negotiate, come back and say, this is what we have achieved. They say, okay, fine, then let's go into coalition.
Because all of us have accepted.
Yes, in that case, DP as a party
Yes.
would join government and become a coalition partner in the government. But what happens is these leaders go and negotiate privately, discreetly. In fact, what they do is really betray their parties, make deals with the very reason the party was set up to fight. They make secret deals with those they are at war with.
Yes.
And join them. And then the party is left
In the middle.
either to just follow them
Yes.
or now to oppose them. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And that is what exactly happened in FDC. So our colleagues got to a situation where they thought the best way forward was to work with Museveni. If they had brought that view to our organs and we discuss it, that would have been perfect. If the majority of the people in FDC had agreed that because of the reasons they have been giving, it has taken too long, the struggle has taken too long, we are growing old, we have become very poor, we don't see how it will change. We have tried elections, they have failed. We have tried the demonstrations, they have failed. We have tried this. So let us now work with Museveni. That has been the argument. If they presented that to the organs of the party, and we discussed it, and the majority thought that that was the way to go, that would be perfect. Then, they would go ahead and negotiate and do whatever is to be done transparently. Those who would not be in favor of what has been decided would have their own decisions to make. If, for example, they had made such a decision, I would not go with them. But I would respect what they have done.
Yeah.
I would go away and do what I think needs to be done away from them.
Yes.
But they didn't do that. So actually, they overthrew our mission.
Yes.
They conspired with those we were fighting to overthrow our mission. That's exactly what happened.
Exactly. And Doctor,
So I want you to understand where we are coming from to say, this is not, we have to start afresh. We have to end this.
Doctor, the country knows that background very well. They have seen how it has unfolded. My question to you, because you're not in control of what they do, what Museveni does, or how the system has been manipulated.
No, we are not.
You have control over how you react.
Absolutely.
So in your reaction, do you think that the best idea was to start a new political party and dissolve this old one?
So you see, again,
Why is it the
again
best
this
option?
is a misunderstanding. To say we are starting a new political party. We are not. FDC is there. It has not
You're
gone.
going to dissolve it first and start a new
So
political party.
so FDC, I have said this repeatedly. FDC means two things.
Yes, sir.
First, it is its mission. The FDC mission is there. It has not changed. It has not died. The mission of ensuring that we have a democratic change. That mission of ensuring that we will change leaders by the will of the people. In other words, reclaiming power to the people and moving the country on a democratic path. That mission has not changed. Mission of FDC. Secondly, it is the membership that embrace that mission. The membership that embrace that mission have not changed. They are the ones you saw at Katonga. It is the leaders who really defected both from the mission and from their membership. The leaders who betrayed the mission and betrayed the members and went to negotiate with the very people we must end what they are doing. So, and then they invite those, so once they collude, they now bring the terror, which we have been fighting against within the party itself.
Yes.
Because we have been terrorized. When we are in the party is terrorized, it's fighting back. Now, because the leaders themselves have colluded with the terror, they import the terror into the party.
Yeah, we saw police at FDC.
Precisely. So the party is intact. And it is the party that you saw at Katonga. The party in the districts, in the grassroots, is intact. Okay, there may be a few, people who are not, again, quite aware of what I am talking about, and who may be confused by all the propaganda, because as I have told you, there is a lot of deployment of noise and propaganda. For example, there has been propaganda that we are against the East, leaders from the East, because these people who betrayed the mission
from the East.
and the members happened to be both. In fact, all three, Poa, Nandala, and Dekanya.
They are from the East. And those are the strongholds of FDC.
We are from the East. FDC is strong everywhere, my brother. But, so, they now retreated. Say, you see, they hate us because we are from the East.
Pulling the tribal card.
Yes, you see. So some people, even now, are confused by those noises because they haven't understood the dynamic. That it is not because of the East, it is because these leaders from the East have betrayed our cause to Museveni. And if anybody was in doubt about that betrayal, so people focus a lot about money. Yes, part of the betrayal involves money exchanging hands.
Yes, sir.
But the most, disastrous thing is the change of course. That the person you set out to fight and to end the ills they are doing is now your partner. And maybe the most dramatic of that change happened, at least for the public, happened in Parliament. In Parliament, the leader of FDC in parliament was Ssemujju Nganda.
Yes.
And the people of Naja Nankumbi said, we don't want Ssemujju Nganda now. We want, because he was challenging what they were doing, we want Nsibambi. And you know there was a scuffle until they installed Nsibambi.
Yes.
Nsibambi's maiden speech as leader of FDC in parliament, on the floor of parliament, on the cameras seen by the whole country, he said he has not come to fight NRM, he has come to work with NRM for the betterment of the country. This was his recorded, you can go back and get it, he has come to work with. That is a total shift from what we are doing.
Exactly.
So that is the central problem. The fact that the people we were fighting with are now in the party, brought by our own leaders as their partners in the party. So they bring the terror of their partners in the party. And indeed capture the party. So they facilitated the capture of at least the leader, what is seen as the leadership of our party. So what has been going on since that happened has been to reorganize the base of the party, which is not affected by this. First of all, to inform them what is going on. Because all this was happening, secret. They did not know. The party, as I've told you, no organ of the party discussed what they were doing. And when we got information about what they were doing and tackled them, then their response was what you saw. Bring in terror, start, using these propaganda campaign. We are against them because of this, of that, and not of what they were doing.
The issue itself.
Yes, what they were doing, including the money, to say, where did this money come from? Because that was one of the things, where did this money come from? And of course, that has played out. Yes. Many people know but the central question is not the money, it is the shifting from fighting against to working with.
Shifting of consciousness.
Yes, but to working with.
You have submitted and
So please understand when we say, therefore, FDC, which we started, is now in a dilemma with the people we are fighting, capturing its leadership, using its leadership to create an impression that now this is the FDC.
The new one we are working with.
We are working with. In other words, subsuming us into what they are doing.
Which we couldn't accept.
Which we couldn't accept, not just accept, but which erodes the legacy of those who started the party, who are no longer around even to defend it, who have died, like we have, our chairman, Sulaiman Chigundu, chairman Njuba, vice chairman Chimbera, vice chairman Butime and others, people who started the party and are no longer there. Created a legacy, which has now been distorted to appear as if we abandoned what was being done. In fact, even to suggest that what was being done was nonsense, it was not the right thing to do, and so on and so forth, because you've been hearing how they are talking now. saying, we've spent 20 years, failing to do what we did, so there is an attempt by the junta, the people who bought these leaders. It's not them now, because now they are also being managed. And the objective of the other one is to completely erase the legacy, even distort it and erase it and do. So part of the resolutions of saying we must dissolve this is to dissolve the, to deny ground for those who captured our leaders, abusing the legacy of the people who made huge sacrifices. So we want to freeze that legacy. Say, FDC played this role for 20 years, it got problems and was dissolved at this moment. The struggle has not been dissolved. I told you the party is the mission and the members.
Yes.
So the members whom all these people are smearing with undesirable things want to clean the slate and continue with their mission.
Yes.
So in other words, this is why I say they are not. We are not starting.
Yes.
We are not looking for people to. The party is there.
I know you're doing a Porteous pilot, but
yes.
But
so the party is mutating.
Yes.
Mutating to defend its. It's like you see. What is a good example of this, where if you are under attack of some kind, it's like if they surrounded us here looking for me, and there have been many stories around that. I could, as has been suggested, dress like a woman, even put on breasts,
Yes.
put on kitamba on my head, and put on stilettos, hold my handbag,
And get
beat
the security
and walk out and go.
Yes.
It is not that I have changed. I am still the same.
You're just mutating to solve that issue.
Yes, I'm still the same person who is changing appearance
Yes, sir.
to solve a problem.
Yes.
But I am still the same person.
My question is
So
in the change that
FDC will remain with its mission,
yes,
with its members.
Yes.
The clothes it puts on to avoid the problems surrounding it now can change. And that's what these resolutions are about. So first, that, if the situation that has caused me to be in danger, if, for example, we are here at Digitalk, and the Digitalk people whom I consider as allies and partners in the democratization process, media is supposed to be an ally of democratization.
Yes, sir.
If that media turned against me, betrayed me, and I come here and find that I have landed in a trap,
An ambush.
a trap of people who are working with you and hunting me, and the only way I get out is to go to the bathroom and find a way of disguising myself and leave. You see?
Yes, sir.
I have left as I came, but I had to do something to enable me to move on.
Yes, sir.
That is exactly what is happening to FDC. We are at a situation where we are trapped by all this. But now, having done so, if I came and was able to get out, this partnership which we have cannot remain.
Yes.
So I would seek, in order for that not to continue, you know, that you bring somebody talking as Kizza Besigye every Friday.
Doctor, just on that issue, you have mentioned that political parties are not relevant in a time such as this one.
Yes.
Why go for a political party?
So that is
Why not join maybe any?
Yeah, that is an important question. If we can go step by step. So the first step is the mission being betrayed.
Yes, and we all agree.
And if the mission is being betrayed, to say, let's have a break and save our legacy so far, so that we don't leave people soiling it, saying, you know, this is the FDC of the Besigyes, of the Njubas, of the Sulaiman Chigundus,
Yes, yes.
that, you know, you find people pooping in. So you freeze it,
Yes, yes.
you store that legacy for the benefit of those who have made those sacrifices.
Yes. The many who have lost their
Yes,
lives.
and also for the country, that this was a positive contribution. You freeze it there. And so the question you're asking now is, how do you go ahead?
Exactly.
And I have addressed this very question many times. You see, first of all, parties are associations, people who have the same belief. So they must be people persuaded by what you want to do and how you want to do it. And people will associate, they are voluntary associations.
Yes, sir.
You know, you voluntarily associate. So now, I have told you that all the parties, including FDC, have been hit by the same problems. Terror, money, propaganda, you know, the same problems that have hit this party.
Yes, sir.
So, it is important that we take stock of what we have gone through and now create something that is immunized against what we have gone through. Because, so you are saying, couldn't you join another party, which is there already? But those parties which are there already, we don't know whether
They're immunized.
they are immunized, or even whether the cancer in FDC is not already residing in there. So the first thing that we have to do now is to preserve ourselves. Okay? So as I have said, we are not forming a new party. We are preserving our mission and our membership. So that's what we call a new formation. We call it a new formation because it will have different clothes. But it is the essence.
Still the same.
The essence is
Vision.
entirely the same. The membership, even others of course keep joining or leaving, but the membership, the main thrust of the membership remains the same. So it is in many ways, it's a mutation. It's change from within. We are not constituting. We are not, and that's why we have a delegates conference that does so. And you see, so that we are able to achieve what I have said, protect the legacy of NRA, of FDC as indicated, of the sacrifices of FDC as indicated. We envisaged that and included it in the Constitution. So the Constitution of FDC in Article 30, Article 36 of the Constitution of FDC is about dissolution, because these were anticipated that such situations can arise, and if they do, you should dissolve constitutionally. So there must be a notice of at least 6 months to dissolve, which is what
you gave.
The delegates conference gave. Now, that means we cannot dissolve what is not ours. So we will be FDC until we dissolve it. Okay? And I hear people, panicking about this. No, it will be dissolved. It will be dissolved.
Okay.
Because what it takes to dissolve is what is here.
Though I don't know if you have the instruments of power that the Najanankumbi's faction has.
So what are instruments of power? Instruments of power is not being recognized by Mr. Museveni. Absolutely not. No, it is the Constitution of FDC. You see, and the difference between Najanankumbi and Katonga resides in one article. In terms of the Constitution, it is Article 28, which creates the office of party chairperson. There shall be a party, there shall be a chairperson and 4 vice chairpersons. That everybody who is listening must pay attention to that. There shall be a chairperson and 4 vice chairpersons. The chairperson, not the vice, the chairperson shall, not may, shall
Infallible command.
Convene and chair the National Delegates Conference.
In this case, it's Mr. Besigye.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, that is the crux of the matter between Naja and Katonga in terms of this constitution. That's why, and the media has not been helpful at all, because the media has this is a public document. All these parties are public institutions. They are not our institutions. They are public institutions. In fact, now the public even spends money on them. The public gives them money.
Yes.
So every taxpayer has a right to know what is happening in FDC, has a right to have this constitution and to demand an accountability from FDC. And so this is how a delegates conference is convened. Not by any other person. The chairperson shall convene and chair the National Delegates Conference. Now, what is the role of the vice? It is in 28 sub-clause 2. The vice chairpersons shall, not may,
That's an infallible
shall
command, yes.
deputize the chairperson. So they have no power except when they deputize the chairperson. And what is deputizing? You know, again, this is very, very clear. You deputize when I can get you a definition of deputize here. Deputize. Deputize is here. Temporarily act or speak on behalf of someone else.
Temporarily.
Yes.
Keyword.
The post holder is required to deputize for the manager in their absence. You cannot deputize when the
person is there.
The person is there. Or even when he's not there, that he has allowed you to
Deputize.
deputize.
He has given you
Because
the
as you see here, we have 4 vice chairpersons. So the one who deputizes if the chair is not there is assigned to deputize by the chairperson. So everybody should ask the people, because this is your document, it's a public document, the Constitution. Everybody should ask Nandala and his friend Paul.
They're relying on the court, what court decided.
But you see, we don't have 2 constitutions, and even the court has not ruled over this. No, the matter is still in court. It hasn't ruled. But it's not something that needs a ruling. You as media, go and ask them.
What does the Constitution
Who
say?
convened the delegates conference that they purport elected them? Who convened it? Because there is only one way in which a delegates conference can be convened. It is here.
Exactly.
And it is only the delegates conference that can elect national leaders.
Yes.
So if the chairperson has not convened the delegates conference, who? You know, they were saying that Toterebuka Bamwenda, you know, that I think he was an electoral commissioner then,
yes.
And then they said a vice, I think somebody called Chibuka, that he's the one who convened. How can a vice convene? Where does he get the power?
Yeah, the chairperson is there.
Absolutely.
My question then to you is that Ugandans, when we hear political parties, we hear elections.
So.
And some of the leaders who are on your side are in elective positions as we speak. Isn't this another avenue for them to stay relevant in the politics of Uganda as we speak today? You'll answer that after this short commercial break. We are watching the Interface Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. I'm still with Dr. Kizza Besigye. When we come back from that break, he will be addressing that issue. Then we shall also hint on the increasing denominations and divisions in the opposition. How does this serve when we are entering into a political season come next year and 2026? And some of these political players have actually said that they are not ready for elections. They are not willing to go for elections. What does this mean for the opposition? My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Let's go for a short commercial break.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link. where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday, 12 p.m., with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m., with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m., with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers. Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the science media cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
Empishi ya byobufuzi.
It's controversial,
Purely political.
well researched,
Accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, State House oba ghetto.
Ani ayugayuga ku ground.
Ani bwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kizza Besigye aleese amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simayanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamu apanyiga mawu.
Ebe na birindira noku the Political Dice ku the Alternative Digitalk nange teditenjo ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
esawa 2.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Minutes past 1 p.m. We're in the second and final hour of the Interface Show. My name is Edgar. I'm still with Dr. Kizza Besigye. Derek Mwebesa, you're watching from Kabale. Thank you so much for watching, sir. You're not the only one. There are various people who are watching. Stella Nyanzi, you're saying I'm in class this morning. Tapping wisdom from Dr. Kizza Besigye. Then we have people like Twesi, Gomye, Katong, Liboni. We have been waiting for you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Then Kezia, thank you very much for the program. Kachacha Steven, thank you so much for watching. Epia Michael Mikairi, you say you're good to go. Then we have Rwamjema Paul, Kachacha Steven, Laban Tugaineyo, Kano Besigye Oye. Yes, there are a couple of messages that are coming through. Thank you so much for watching. There is Kenneth Kulumba says, Dear Doctor, you should know that Ugandans may never wake up one day and fight without unifying factor to stand together. The current work you are doing is instead bringing about more divisions within the opposition. But you need to remember that Ugandans know that there is always just one genuine opposition party, and the rest are seen as state agents aiming at diverting people. I just pray you don't get in the point of being looked at as a mole. Thank you so much. And that brings me to the question that I wanted to ask Doctor, but before I do that, we are having some network issues, especially on Facebook, but we are trying as much to rectify them. So please hang in there as we work on those particular issues. Doctor, this gentleman points out an issue about bringing in more political divisions, which is something I wanted to ask you. But before we do that, first comment on that question of when we hear political parties, for us we hear elections, and it's 2024, we are into the electoral season. Aren't the people behind you looking for selfish positions, looking for political caravans that can bring them success come 2026?
You see, as I explained earlier, political parties are associations of individuals.
Yes.
What makes us an organization is that we have many differences, but united over certain important issues on which we see eye to eye. So that's why we call that the mission of the party. And the mission, as I have explained now, is regaining control of the country and transitioning to a democratic dispensation.
True.
That is the mission that unites us. Now, individuals within that mission may have other things they consider as important. So what people consider as important, even as we move together, are not the same, you know? So even as we move together, some people who are maybe business people within our ranks will be focused on how, even as the struggle goes on, how taxes reduce. If those affect them, they will be making more effort to see that even as we go on, taxes reduce. Others may be looking indeed at preparing themselves in a political career of jobs. If he's a councillor today,
he wants to be an MP tomorrow.
Maybe he wants to become an MP, you know, and is viewing as an important project for himself to become an MP. And is doing so while we are all fighting together for that mission. So people will have different considerations while we work together. Now, we cannot and we should not, there is no cause why we should, you know, try to cause everybody to not pay attention to what they consider important to them, provided they don't become an obstacle to the main
goal
mission. If they become an obstacle to the main mission, then we must, you know, deal with them. But if, you know, they are mobilizing to become councillors or whatever, but in the process they are also supporting the mission of fighting for liberation, we work together. That's why, so they become partners together in that cause.
Okay.
And so I don't particularly see a conflict that is inherent between those who seek to gain electoral positions and those who are more focused on the liberation struggle regardless of what elections provide.
Okay.
Now, having said that, the danger that arises out of elections, which is inimical, which becomes an enemy of the liberation, is one, very important one. It is that while contesting for office, the people who want liberation can start fighting against each other because they are competing for the same office while at the same time seeking to work together for liberation. That becomes a very important contradiction that we must manage. In fact, even now, when you see the hostility between people who all say we want change, it is because they look at people in different formations as their rivals for the offices. And if we rival for offices held in the captured state, because all these offices today until liberation are offices in the captured state, in the captured parliament, in the captured local governments, in the captured whatever it is. That's where you are looking for offices. So those who have captured the state have found elections to be a fertile ground to cause divisions and animosity amongst those who seek to end their control of the country. And that invites us to have very clear and deliberate way in which we manage the struggle during elections. It's critical. If we don't, then the elections will forever become an enemy of liberation. But we can use the elections as an opportunity for the liberation. The only way we shall use the elections to become an opportunity for liberation is to harmonize our approach by all who seek liberation, our approach to the elections. And that's why we have been very, consciously and consistently working for the united forces of change, that all those who seek liberation, whether from different political groups or those without any political group, and they are the majority actually, that we all strategize together for liberation, including how we use election for liberation. We must have a strategy of our own.
According to Kenneth, you're undermining the decision you've made to create another political faction. You're actually undermining that vision of a united forces of change.
Well, first of all, as I have told you, we are not seeking to create anything new. We are the same. We have been there. All these people who came to Katonga, they are not new people. They have been there for the last 20 years. So would they suggest, for example, that the creation of NUP was inimical because there was already FDC? Would anybody suggest that? That NUP should not have been created because there was already FDC? No, because those who created NUP must have had their own reasons for associating that way, provided if whatever they are associating as, their mission is liberation, then they should harmonize their liberation intention with all the others they find in their arena with that mission. And so they would have to harmonize whatever they are doing with FDC, whom they have found, with DP, whom they found, with UPC, whom they found in the arena, harmonize to achieve the same goal. You see? And as I have said, you see, it's not necessary or even advisable to simply have every egg in the same basket. That basket could explode and you have nothing. As we have seen, there are all kinds of landmines looming all over. So having different fronts for a struggle is not bad in itself, provided those in those fronts can harmonize on the purpose of achieving their common goal.
Do you think the Katonga faction can harmonize with other political players that we have now?
Of course, and that's what, as I have said, that's the mission actually of Katonga, because Katonga was there before FDC had problems. So the mission of Katonga is actually to harmonize with all change-seeking persons. That's why at Katonga, the first outfit that came out of Katonga was called Activists for Change, A4C.
Yes.
A4C included all parties. You know, there was UPC there was DP there was FDC there. There were people who had no parties. That is the Katonga. And that is what, so the harmonization, which we have now been calling the United Forces of Change, is what must be focused on, so that it's not a partisan struggle. Liberation is not a partisan struggle. It's a citizen struggle, because it is citizens seeking, actually it is slaves in the country, slaves and subjects of those who captured the state, seeking to regain control over their country. We now exist in Uganda as slaves or subjects of the mafia state, the people who control us by terror. So if we want to regain our freedom, we must all unite. That's what happened even in independence struggle. There were different formations, but we are all working for independence. And that is because once we regain control over the country, we will manage a transition to a democratic dispensation in which necessarily you will have different parties, because we will then argue about how the best way to develop the country. Now, we cannot have the same thinking about how Uganda will be a prosperous country. We will have different thinkings. And those parties aggregate, unite together people who think in a particular way of how Uganda should develop. They create their own platform. Others who think in a different way create their own platform. These platforms present their plans of how to develop Uganda to the people of Uganda, and the people choose whom to give power to do whatever they have suggested. So that is under the democratic dispensation. But to get to the democratic dispensation is where we have to unite
Okay.
and scrupulously avoid or even fight against any source of trying to divide us.
That was going to be my last question in this particular issue is, how have you immunized yourself, you have been using that word, how have you immunized yourself against the invisible hand that has affected the opposition over time in this Katonga new faction?
Well, the immunization, first of all, as we have been saying, it's not just over the Katonga faction. It is over the whole citizenry. Because as I have pointed out, this struggle will not be won by one group. And of course, I completely detest calling Katonga a faction. Because as I have showed you, the constitution is very clear.
Yes.
There is only one FDC. Whose chairperson is not contestable.
Yes.
So that's why what is in Najanankumbi is a state operation. It has nothing to do with FDC. And that's why even we are seeking to stop the abuse of the word FDC by winding it up so that it stays. So regarding how we are immunizing processes that lead to a new formation, the first thing is awareness of what has happened and how it happens, you see?
Yes,
the second thing is now creating new institutions that will avoid what has happened. Because you see, it has shown that you can have elected leaders who betray the mission, and we had no institutional mechanism to control that. And that's why it has caused us all this mess. So we must create checks and balances on how elected people can use power, or if they abuse it, how they can be quickly checked without the rigorous processes that by the time they were invited, the damage had gone so far. You know, the national, say we are calling a national delegates conference. By the time you do so, as we have seen, the damage is already too much. They are already mobilizing the police to attack, to what, you know. So, yes, there will have to be reforms within the structures. And this is why I was telling you that learning from that, what we create, I think will also need to be looked at by many people to see how indeed these situations can be avoided. Secondly, of course, in the creation of the new platform, you know, even other people who have suffered in the same way, we can all agree to come together and create one platform. All these are options that rather than each one treat their own disease, we could treat our disease together. And that we are also interrogating the possibility of that. But having said that, you see,
There's a conclude on that issue.
Yes, you see the debate as to how we shall end the state capture is a very lively debate, and we may never agree, those who are seeking change. Part of the problem which was in FDC earlier, but which fortunately we managed democratically, was about that. There was an argument or an idea led by General Muntu that we can cause change through elections, provided we don't immediately focus on removing the leaders at the top. that we go down,
Yes.
we invest in building grassroots structures,
Yes.
use them to win grassroots positions, win LC1, then use those gains at the LC1 to win more councillors in the local governments, then use those gains in the local governments to win more MPs. And when we have many MPs, we change we undertake reforms that then can allow us to win the presidency. It's a coherent idea which we have debated transparently within FDC. And that's why when General Muntu sought to create a new platform, it was, he could not, he had no issues with FDC. He simply disagreed, like I said. You know, if, for example, the debate on whether to work with Museveni had been transparently debated, and they had, many people, majority had agreed to work with Museveni, some of us would move away. And we would not, in that regard, seek to end FDC, because that is how FDC would have evolved. That would have been their evolution, without any coercion or anything, that they have changed the course, and that's what they want. So the debate of how we end state capture continues. Some people still believe that we can actually win elections organized the way they are if we do certain things. You know, they also have what they think needs to be done. We win an election and power changes from the junta to an elected government. There are those who have that thought. I don't share that thought. And I am transparent in what I am saying. So I don't share that thought. Even that debate may come up in Katonga. And we shall have it. We shall have that lively exchange, which should be as in all platforms.
Yes.
And decisions can be taken. So because I have been seeing people say, you know, attaching, because as I have said, you know, we have, especially in our elites, and this is why partly we are in a very huge problem. We have elites who don't focus on issues, many elites, partly because indeed they serve wrong purposes, but partly because they don't invest in thinking deeply about these issues. So you have people who say, you know, Besigye is the problem because, you know, he wants to keep everybody under his wings. Absolutely not, because you know, if you recall, if I did indeed, I wouldn't have stepped down as a leader of FDC when I was not under any challenge. But I thought the people in the party still believed in a particular way, which I didn't personally share, and I sought to continue with what I believed in. And that should be respected if we think differently, provided we move with our thoughts in a transparent and democratic manner, then it's okay. So, you know, divisions are part of democratic processes. They are healthy. Because I see a sense of people saying because there are divisions, opposition is useless. Absolutely not. It's not. And the opposition, I have been emphasizing this, the opposition is not just us in the political formations. No, especially now, the opposition which seeks a reshaping of the country, shifting power from armed cabals to the population, the people who want to regain control of the country and use it for their future. far more than are represented in these political parties. Okay. The people who are jobless, who are walking the streets, who have no future, you know?
Yes, sir.
The women who are desperate, who have no maternal care, who have their children, they can't feed their children, all because of a country whose resources serve a few people. Okay. So the opposition is mounting every day, regardless of what is happening in these political formations.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think let's just rest on that issue, though. Lastly, Dan Wangalwa Walucho says, I want to hear from Doctor, is it only the issue of money, Doctor and Semuju, to hate Nandala and Poa on level? Because some of us, we can see permanent hatred, mostly from Doctor and Semuju, or they have their own issues behind. And I didn't suspect Doctor to hate Nandala to that level. However, I support Doctor. But he has mentioned issues. He has said, let's not look at the individuals.
There is absolutely no hate. There is absolutely no hatred. Okay. The issues are on the table. Where they want to go is not where you want to go.
Doctor, let's talk about the rubbish problem. There is nowhere we are dumping rubbish as we speak. Kitezi cannot be dumped because it's full to capacity. Katikolo, they have refused. Nkumba, they refuse to accept rubbish to be dumped there. How can we solve this particular issue?
You see, this issue goes to the heart of the question we have just spent all this time talking about, governance. I have pointed out many times that the sole purpose of government, forming, governing body of a country, is to plan and do things that individuals cannot do for themselves.
Exactly.
Common goods and services, to provide people with the common goods and services. And so, the fact that we have a situation where the capital city has nowhere to dump garbage. And the garbage cannot be collected and dumped by every individual. It is necessarily a governmental service. It's a common good. And so it is the common good that the government that must plan and effect plans to ensure that garbage is safely collected and safely disposed of. And you have seen what has been unfolding since the disaster at Kitezi. It was very clear that government knew that Kitezi was in a very dangerous situation, that it should be closed 9 years ago.
Yes, and a reminder as the year was starting.
And there have been numerous reminders.
Yes.
Even before that 9 years, the whole idea, the whole plan of using Kitezi was itself problematic. In fact, there was a lot of protest ahead of starting to dump that garbage in Kitezi. Because the way garbage is dumped anywhere is problematic. It immediately imposes public health challenges for wide populations around that garbage.
That's why some were surprised that people stay there.
Yes, and people protested. Those people who have been buried, they protested ahead of starting the dumping there. Yes, so the dumping itself, even when it started, was problematic and should never have been done, because there are far better ways of disposal of garbage.
Yes,
even if it was to be dumped as garbage the way they do, how you prepare where you dump it, how you manage it, is still a matter that is far cry from what is done in Kitezi or other places. So this is simply a demonstration of catastrophic failure by government to the people of Uganda. Those people, and it's believed now, they have already exhumed, discovered about 35 bodies.
35 bodies, yes.
It is believed that up to 28 more are still in the garbage, you know, making it, 60 something who will be dead by the end of this process. And that catastrophe, if we were in a democratic dispensation in which government accounts to its people,
yes,
it would lead even for the whole government to give way.
Nobody has been booked as we speak.
Absolutely, and nobody will, because there is no accountable system. Nobody will.
So KCCA denying, not even accepting. Really
Nobody will. This is not even a KCCA matter. It is Mr. Museveni's. Because he took over KCCA directly. It is under his office.
Yes.
So, his office has killed these people directly, and, so there, but even if it wasn't as direct as it is now, the chief executive is where the buck stops.
Yes.
Even if this happened in Arua, it is an executive function. He should have had, that's why all the people in the executive serve at the pleasure of the president.
That's true.
So that power is also a huge responsibility on you to make sure that everybody discharging a role under your watch does what they ought to do. If they are not, that you have mechanisms to know that the person in Arua is not doing his job and must be removed. And if there is somebody else who is supposed to remove him and is not removing him, you remove that one. So this in the case of Chitezi, KCCA was taken over. Again, the capture of the institutions. It started at the central government, it went into the urban centers and into the local governments. The 1995 Constitution had significantly decentralized power. Districts had power over appointment of district managers. They had power over some resources. All that has been totally reversed. It is directly under the central government.
Exactly.
KCCA is possibly the worst of such cases because Mr. Museveni has appointed 2 ministers directly under him to manage, to oversee the city.
Yes.
He has not stopped there. He has appointed, again, direct appointments. He has appointed 6 RDCs, they call them RCCs, the RDCs of Kampala. They are called city resident commissioners. Those are 6 directly appointed by him. He directly appoints the chief executive of Kampala.
Executive director.
Executive director is not appointed by KCCA. The executive director is appointed directly by the president.
Yes.
So, in the case of Chitezi, it is the president directly who is culpable for killing the people of Chitezi, for causing a public health disaster all over that region, polluting the water, polluting the air, polluting, killing animals that have been killed, and so on and so forth. It is the but as I have pointed out, there is no accountable system. So there will be millions of Kitezi until we end the lack of accountability. And as I have suggested, and again it's a matter of debate, ending this will take a revolution. The people of Uganda must undertake a revolution. It's not evolutionary, and that's the debate. Some people think that we can evolve somehow a democratic dispensation out of this. Yeah. It's not possible. It will take a revolution. That's my belief. And I'm sure there are many people who believe similarly, that we need a revolution. It will take a complete recast. I have told you that, this dispensation we are in, where we are governed by armed cabals of the mafia type. Mafioso of Italy is an armed cabal, which dispenses terror to control territories and control people. And in the same way, to end this will take the subordination of the arms, putting arms below the people. It will not happen through an evolution just like that. It will take,
Mr. Muntu suggests.
It will take a struggle, a struggle that is already going on. It will take the fruition of this struggle, struggle for subordination of the arms. We must defeat and subordinate use of guns for political power, so that their guns are at the service of the people. You see, this is an intense struggle. So we don't just see it in the form of garbage. It is everywhere.
It looks like everything
garbage,
is spoiled.
Yes, garbage is just a small symptom or sign of the problem. But today it will be garbage, tomorrow it is flooding of Kampala.
Intern doctor.
The other day it is the healthcare crisis. The other day it will be, the teachers. Education is the single most important area of our country. I have made this point repeatedly. Building knowledge is what will save not just Uganda but Africa. Because all other continents have excelled in building knowledge. We are going down in building knowledge. And that is one area that is suffering most in our country today. You have heard all these debates that, they now want a new curriculum, a curriculum where kindergarten people have the teachers with degrees and so on, and all this nonsense that has been going on, in the process of which the education system is completely collapsing. And the people are just, they are looking and, debating hopeless things. So the question of liberation is critical. It's not just garbage. There are many far more critical matters that are in a crisis that we are not paying attention to. And the earlier we unite and say enough is enough, the better. That's why for me, I don't take this, even the passing moment, paying attention to what is going on in Najanangumbi. I don't, because this is, it's
very meager.
It's a very small distraction.
Yes, sir.
And yes, some people can go and argue, whether in courts or whatever, let them go and argue. Even as these resolutions that were taken, by the delegates conference, let's dissolve this, let's create a new plan, that's all right. But if all that will happen in 9 months, what is happening in the 9 months?
Good question.
The struggle must simply intensify. And this, as I have said, it's not an FDC struggle. Everybody who is, a victim of all this must simply not wait for what is going on in FDC, what is going on anywhere. We must simply fight to change, to end this crisis. It's a mega, mega crisis that our country faces.
Okay, sir, thank you. You talk about the education, and I remember that we're in a country where there's a student who's studying for 3,000 shillings per term. That's less than $1. But there's also another student who's paying...
It's far less than 3,000 actually.
Someone is paying, another one is paying $10,000 per term for their student. And all these people are being raised in Uganda. And when you look at that iniquity, you really wonder.
No, it's apartheid. It's an apartheid system.
At just 15 minutes to the end of this particular show, there is a particular video or audio that I would love you guys to listen to. But first, listen to these statements. We hear, or it's purported, that this was the voice of Rwabogo talking about Mr. Muhoozi Kainerugaba. So watch this video, and then we shall start on that issue right about now.
This issue Muhoozi is facing is this lumpen son of his. I don't know what he has over me. I don't know if he's just jealous. I don't know. I don't know if it's because Mama and Muhoozi always call me first when we have issues. This hooligan even is not called in family urgent meetings because they know his thinking capacity is very shallow and low. This, honestly, I don't know what is really happening to this young man, because they had fought a huge battle for him to leave alcohol. But he keeps on taking alcohol, and whenever he takes alcohol, he does awkward things. Everyone knows. Can you imagine a son of a president getting drunk and go an extra mile of raping young women? Muhoozi has done a lot to cover up for this hooligan, but it keeps on. Now just imagine that tweet he made. Honestly, can you imagine if you read such a tweet? You know, I don't know what to say, but that man, Muhoozi, is a lumpen. Muhoozi is a very big disappointment to the family. But I don't have much to say about him, but I know you just give it time, trust me. And that is someone that comes out and starts shouting that he wants to be the president over my dead body. We cannot accept such hooliganism. We can't. I even talked to my wife about it.
That's Rwabogo, the first, one of the sons-in-law of Mr. Museveni. What does that mean to the transition process itself, but also to the first family, if this is hypothetically true? But what is true is that Muhoozi Kainerugaba posted about him, calling him the biggest thief. What does that mean for Ugandans to speak? Doctor, I just want to hear your comment.
Well, first of all, I really don't know Mr. Odrek. I possibly talked to him many, many years ago when he was still a young journalist. I would not recognize his voice. And I saw this, I asked around some people who know him. And those I asked didn't believe that that was him. They seemed to believe that his voice and language, the English he speaks, is different from what is in this. Whether that is the case or not, I leave it up to them. But you see, what is indisputable is that there is public wrangling and rancor and animosity which has been there in the media. The ones which are not in dispute are those of General Muhoozi, who indeed thinks his brother-in-law is the biggest thief that moves around our country. I suspect he has reasons to post as such, because they are family, they are family for a long time. So he knows him much better than most people. And if he thinks he's the biggest thief, who is anyone to deny, to contradict that kind of assertion? And so this is in the public arena. There has also been another document that was ascribed to disciples of Rwabogo. I haven't seen anywhere where Rwabogo himself would come out to disown those disciples and say, these are masqueraders, I don't agree with what they say, I don't, to denounce them. I haven't seen that.
Exactly.
So one can safely assume that those disciples were also possibly communicating his sentiments. And those sentiments would not be very far removed from what is being transmitted in this audio. So I think what this really brings to the arena is what exists in the first family. First of all, that the biggest thief is there in the family. The biggest thief in the country is sitting there. I think it also says that some irresponsible drunkard and all kinds of other things is also sitting there. Now, this is, of course, extremely, revealing of what the leadership of our country has become. Because one is the chief of defense forces, who controls the entire military, air force, land forces, special forces, the marine forces, the whatever forces. He is the one at the helm.
Yes, sir.
Who can, as he threatened some time back, invade another country. He can order his troops to move and attack Kenya or attack another place. He's seated there.
Yes.
It also clearly points to this one being described as the biggest thief, who is a senior presidential advisor. He's not just a son-in-law. He's not in the family. He's also a senior state official, senior presidential advisor. And a senior presidential advisor that has now created an institution in the presidency to manage or oversee matters of external trade Uganda's exports and so on, who draws a big budget from our taxes, is the one who is described by the Chief of Defense Forces as the biggest thief. So we have Mr. Museveni, the president, sitting between his family members, the Chief of Defense Forces, who is described in the family as an irresponsible drunkard, out of control, who has the greatest sense of self-entitlement because of being the son of his father. On the one side, on the other side, you have this thief who is the advisor of the head of the government and the state. And so the dilemma for the country cannot be more graphic. What this, what it paints for the country cannot be more graphic to demonstrate the crisis in which our country is. And so you have Mr. Museveni there, no longer a young man, certainly over 80. I don't know how old he is, but certainly over 80. Clearly unable to manage what is playing on around him. This CDF is also a leader of a political formation called, what is Perao? Perao, called Perao, at least, I don't know what Perao stands for now, PROU. It's a political formation with structures all over the country.
Yes, sir.
A serving officer of the military,
yes, sir,
also having a political formation that is even from time to time criticizing the formation overseen by his own father.
Yes.
And commander, who is supposed to be the commander-in-chief. So you have the one in charge of the military, at times acting as an opposition force to his father's formation. He even described the NRM as the most reactionary organization that we have. So clearly, we are a country today which is in deep, deep governance crisis. And that's why Article 3 of the Constitution is the most critical approach that all of us need to look at carefully.
Okay.
Article 3, which commands every citizen who finds him or herself in the situation we find ourselves, where constitutional governance has been overthrown by all these goings on.
Yes, sir.
That we must now take charge, take the responsibility of doing everything in our power to put all this aside and re-establish constitutional governance.
Okay, sir.
It's a call on every citizen out there.
Okay.
This is not a matter for FDC, it's not a matter for the leaders whom people like pointing at. It's a constitutional order to every citizen of Uganda. So stand up and do your duty to regain control over this country and to redirect it to a trajectory that benefits all of us as a country. Yeah, I think time is against me.
Short, yes.
Maybe you allow me simply to say, you know, this critical moment calls on us to act urgently. The call is up to you. You either do what needs to be done or you'll pay the cost. I can only promise you I will never sit down before doing what needs to be done. I will continue to be there to fight on until Uganda is free and working for all of us equally. Thank you very much for keeping on, listening to us, following the conversations, and you know, we are extremely grateful. Thank you, and have a good day, a good week. God bless you.
All right, thank you so much. It's exactly 2 p.m. Lubwama Dennis, thank you so much for watching. Gista Eugene, thank you so much for watching. Ariho Joseph, Jasper, Lahisi, all of you guys are watching. There's Pro Robert, Dan, Ariho, Philbert, Droti, Eric, Brooke Williams. Too many messages are too many. Nacha Unirita, thank you so much for watching. We've come to the end of this conversation. Do follow us on our social media platforms. We're going to cut off some videos and we shall be sharing them on TikTok and other social media platforms so you can be able to, you know, watch them or share them also. But in case you missed this particular episode, you can start over from the 2 hours we've started. That is on our YouTube at The Alternative Uganda, at Digitalk TV. Ted was the one on camera, and of course Mokose Arnold Anthony is always there in production. Let's meet next Friday at exactly 12 midday. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. God bless you, and God bless Uganda.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.